All right, so next guest that we are welcoming into the show, one of the co-hosts of a great podcast called All the Balls, a friend from high school, Connor Howe. How's it going, man?
It's going well, Chandler. Thank you, Chandler and Patrick, for having me. It's been a pleasure. How you guys doing this evening?
Oh,
All
we're
is
doing
good.
well. No
All
worries.
is all is good. Excited to get into some football, man. So, we'll start with the AFC, and the Chiefs get the 1 seed as they should. Best team in the league, in my opinion. Pat Mahomes, he's some type of player, man. But the first playoff game that we're gonna get into is the Bills and the Colts, the 2 versus the 7 seed. Pat, if you want to start this off, what are your expectations for this game? How do you see this one going?
I tell you what, the Colts had a great season, and I think they would have a better matchup against anyone else. But I think the Bills are too hot. I think the Bills are definitely going to win that game. I'm riding Bills, possibly in the next round. You might see them in the AFC Championship game. So I'm definitely taking Bills over the Colts. I think Phillip Rivers is going to put up a good game. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to have good numbers, but I think the Bills are going to be too much. Josh Allen, uh, he's a he's not going to be MVP, but he should be in the conversation at least. Just have his name mentioned. I think him and Stephon Diggs are going to be too much.
Connor, how you feeling about that game?
Um, I'm not particularly a big fan of this game for Buffalo. I think they earn their spot for a 2 seed, but I think this is a tough matchup. I love Indy's defense. I love the fact that Philip Rivers is a grizzled veteran. He's been here before. I like Jonathan Taylor's fresh legs. I know Indy's not moving a lot of heads. I know they second half against Jacksonville wasn't their best, and they've been on and off all season, and they had a bad loss against Pittsburgh. But it's the playoffs. I think they realize they can play for anything. And if Buffalo overlooks them, which I don't think they will, but if Buffalo does overlook them, Indy, don't be surprised if Indy wins. I think it'll be close, though.
Yeah, I would feel that way normally about this game, but with how hot the Bills have been lately, what did they score in this last game? 50 something. And then the game prior, they put up an easy 38 on the Patriots, and it's just I got to go with this Bills team. Josh Allen, like Pat said, should be top 3 or 4 in the MVP conversation. And Stephon Diggs should really be top 10 in the MVP conversation. This guy changed their offense. It was one of those weird win-win trades with the Vikings. But Stephon Diggs has basically set every record for a Buffalo wide receiver. And he's been phenomenal. I got to take the Bills in this matchup here.
Great team. I like Buffalo, and if I'm a bet man, I'll bet Buffalo. But I just think this game is going to be tight. It's going to be under 5 points. It's going to be last possession.
Ooh, close, man, close. I'll take the Bills by 10. Give me the Bills by 10.
I say Bills by a touchdown, but you're right, Connor. The playoffs are a totally different story. Anything could happen. And I do like Rivers' experience. It is going to be a close game, but I am still taking Bills.
All right, well, after that, the next game we're going to be talking about is Steelers-Browns. And the one thing that I want to mention real quick is it came out this morning that Kevin Stefanski, the Browns head coach, will not be coaching this game. And Pat and I were talking about it a little bit before. He's on the COVID tracing list and all that. I don't know if he's positive, but I'm surprised he can't coach from a box. Why can't he get up in the press box and coach from up there like offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators do all the time? I don't get it. But Pat, you want to dive into this matchup a little bit and talk Steelers-Browns?
Yeah, and Stefanski could even coach through a tablet remotely.
From home.
He wouldn't even need to leave his house. It could be done. I don't get why he's got to be, excommunicated from the game. But the Browns, so they got the win against the Steelers in Week 17. So it's kind of weird that they're playing them again right off the bat. They're gonna be playing them this weekend? I'm not sure if it's this weekend or next weekend. I know the wild card starts this weekend. But
I think all 6 games are this weekend. I think
okay.
There's 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday.
Okay, yeah. Gotcha. But yeah, Steelers had Mason Rudolph playing, so Browns only got it done by 2 points. But I do like the Browns in this matchup. I think Baker's gonna get it done. I think Cleveland's gonna get a playoff win for the first time in I don't know how long. I mean, they made the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. They almost blew it, but I'm taking Browns in this matchup.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I don't think many people are going to take the Browns. What are they? The lowest. So the Colts are the lowest seed. They're the second lowest seed. I know the Steelers had a great season, but they started to slip in the latter half of the season. And I think if the Browns have all their receivers, everyone's healthy. I think Austin Hooper is going to be a playmaker. I think the Browns are going to get it done.
I would love to see Baker Mayfield beat the Pittsburgh Steelers just as a Patriots fan. Like, just to see the Steelers go down and it be by the most little brother of little brothers in a division possible.
You got to root for Baker. I mean, come on. Like, you got to want to see Baker get a playoff win.
I wish Odell was out there too. But, Connor, how you feeling about this game, man? Steelers-Browns.
I feel like it's a great game, and it's a shame Stefanski will not coach. I honestly would have picked the Browns if Stefanski would be on the sideline. One thing I'll say, given the fact that I will pick Pittsburgh just based on that coaching, do you guys really believe that Stefanski won't have a say in this at all? I mean, theoretically, he won't be at practice, won't be allowed to be, but you can tell me he's going to leave the whole game plan to his OC.
No,
he's not going to consult him at all. Like,
no, I want to see Stefanski on the sideline on one of those iPads that's like, on a cart and a rod, like around, just going around the sideline on wheels. Like, I don't know why they can't make that happen. Like the Rooney family, you're worth billions of dollars. You can't get an iPad attached to a broomstick on wheels. Like, you can make it happen. It's easy to do.
They got a Roomba on the sideline.
Yeah.
Stefanski going up the sideline.
Yeah, his head on an iPad, dude. I'm telling you, you can do it. Sorry, a Microsoft Surface, because that's what the NFL has to use.
Okay. Only sponsor, just like they only can use Bose.
But Connor, I'm with you. He has to be in on every single meeting. He has to be videoed into everything. This dude, I'm sure, is sitting at a big old desk at his house, game planning like crazy right now. I mean, he has to have some role in this game. But if he's not on the sideline and he can't actively call plays and make adjustments during the game, I'm with Connor. I don't think I would have picked the Browns in the first place, but I have to pick the Steelers because Stefanski changed the culture in Cleveland, in my opinion. Like, you had Baker, you had Odell, you had Jarvis, you had Njoku, you had all these great players, but Stefanski came in and brought the offense. And look what Minnesota has done without Stefanski. That offense isn't nearly as dynamic. Dalvin Cook's still doing his thing, but I think Stefanski is the best thing to happen to the Cleveland Browns in a long time. And because of that, I'm picking the Steelers in this game too.
He clearly was, and it was an underrated hire, I think. Like you said, Chandler, that Browns roster was mostly built already. We understood the Browns had a great roster last year. They didn't get it done, and a lot of people, I think, just predicted they wouldn't get it done again just because first-year coach. It's the Cleveland Browns. But you're right. Like, Stefanski deserves all the credit for where they are right now, and it's a shame he will not be able to play a part in how far they can go.
Yeah, and of course, this is news that came out today, so who knows what's going to happen in the next few days. Sorry to cut you off, Pat. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just going to say my last piece. I think the Steelers lost the second that they won the AFC or the AFC North, and Juju got the entire team in the locker room doing a TikTok dance. So the revival of the TikTok dance, that is the Steelers' demise.
I'd believe it. I would. And Pat, going right back to you, we got Titans-Ravens this weekend too. And Connor, if you can't tell from the flag behind Pat, my man is a Ravens fan through and through, lifelong. So Pat, you want to dive into that matchup a little bit and tell us what we're going to be seeing?
Yep. So the Ravens finished the season strong. They made the Bengals look like an XFL team. Lamar surpassed 1,000 rushing yards on the season, just barely. I think he had like 1,007. But he didn't have a great passing year, but he did finish up the season strong. The team looks great. J.K. Dobbins looks better than ever. I think he's had a touchdown 6 weeks in a row. I think he gets another one against the Titans. But I am nervous about this matchup because this is probably the last team I wanted to see in the first round. Derrick Henry has made us look terrible before. Like, what was it, the stiff arm? Yeah, the stiff arm on Earl Thomas that just got memed all over the internet. But yeah, so I'm nervous about facing the Titans. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Ravens can get it done. It's going to really depend on Tannehill's QB play, if they get it done or not for the Titans. But I think Lamar is going to have a great game. I'd say he's probably going to go for 3 touchdowns and a pick, maybe a rushing touchdown thrown in there. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to have a breakout game. I think he's going to get 100 yards and a touchdown as well. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But I'm going to take Ravens maybe by a field goal. That Justin Tucker leg, baby. That Justin Tucker leg. Ravens by a field goal.
Justin Tucker kiss of death is just a classic playoff game for the Ravens. So
Mr.
I would not be.
Automatic.
Yeah, and you're not trusting Gostkowski on the other side to be the one to do it. So give me Tucker in
No,
that matchup.
definitely not.
I hear that, Connor. How you feeling about this game?
This is gonna be probably the best game of this weekend, in my opinion. I think Tennessee is. I mean, these are two teams that love running the ball. I mean, in a league where passing is becoming more and more accepted, more and more the norm, more and more where teams want to go. These two teams literally just get after, they want to give their backs 30 carries. And I love it because we know Henry at 2,000 yards and the trio of backs in Baltimore with Dobbins and Gus Edwards and Mark Ingram. I love Dobbins out of Ohio State. I think the Ravens are going to pull this out. I think it's going to be close. And the reason why Tennessee wins is just because of why they haven't won their games this year. They have no pass rush. They can't get to the quarterback. And they're going to need to. I know Lamar's not great passing-wise, but I feel like another year, and he's going to show up for this game. I know he will. I know Lamar, and people have been overlooking him this year a lot. He's going to show up for this game.
Yeah. And going off of that, I mean, the whole thing with Lamar now is what is he going to do in the playoffs? And I think because of how he underperformed last year, I think, like you're saying, he's going to come out firing. And I think last week was a little bit of an example of it from both the Ravens and the Bills. They wanted to end the season saying, we are dominating this game. We are pulling no punches, and it's only the tip of the playbook. And, they're doing amazing, explosive things. But at the same time, I got to root for my man, Mike Vrabel. As you both know, I have a little prior relationship with Vrabel back in the day when he was here in New England. And, man, I love Mike Vrabel as a coach in this league. I think he's one of the most likable guys in the league. And I don't think anyone understands the rules of the game better and how to manipulate them as Mike Vrabel than Bill Belichick. You see those weird clock management rules with flags and penalties and all this stuff. There's only two people in the league that do that kind of thing. And those little things, those tiny little things in game where it's a challenge that someone else may not make, or it's a QB kneel that someone else might not take for whatever reason. I think those little things win playoff games. And I could see Vrabel, pulling out some serious coaching in this game. But I'm leaning on Derrick Henry, the workhorse that is 2,000 yards, the ninth player to ever have 2,000 yards in a season. This guy is an all-time great running back already, in my opinion, because he's not slowing down. He never gets hurt. He fumbles once every 18 games he plays or something like that. The guy is an absolute beast. I'm probably rolling with my Titans in this. I say my Titans, the Titans in this matchup, and it's not just to go against Pat and his Ravens.
No, I know. It's fair. It's fair. I mean, it's hard to bet against Derrick Henry. I mean, the man just finished, I think he had 250 yards last game on 34 carries. And he's another guy who realistically should be in the MVP conversation. I know running backs don't get a lot of love in the MVP conversation, but if there's one you ever got to talk about, it's Derrick Henry for that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So moving over to the NFC, the Green Bay Packers, and maybe MVP for favorite Aaron Rodgers with the number 1 seed. I don't know if it's him or Mahomes, but the Packers luckily get the bye week, and then there's 3 games in the NFC this weekend. We're going to start with the Saints and Bears, and amazing that the Bears snuck into the playoffs. They decide to go with Mitch Trubisky week 1, and then Foles, and then Trubisky, and then Foles, and I'm pretty sure Trubisky's quarterbacking there now, but I don't see this team beating the Saints. I see Alvin Kamara, picking up where he left off and having a phenomenal game. And Drew Brees, he's one of those guys you want in this situation. In the playoffs, you want Mitch Trubisky or you want Drew Brees at 40 whatever years old. Give me Brees all day. I'm going with the Saints by 2 scores in this game, 10 to 14 points.
I think that's a good prediction. And this is Drew Brees' last ride, everyone thinks at least. I think it's going to be. I can't imagine he'll come back next season. I feel like he might have, but I think the rib injury might have done him in a little bit. I don't know if he wants to come back next year, but I don't see the Bears being good enough to beat the Saints. The Saints have too much. Drew Brees is too good. They have a great defense as well. I think the Bears are going to have a tough time going against the Saints defense. I know the Bears have a great defense as well, but I think the Saints offense is just too good to it'll outmatch that. So I would take Saints in this game as well. And then going back to the Packers, Chandler, just with Aaron Rodgers on your quick MVP mention, he's my definite MVP. I mean, I know I'm getting off topic from the Saints Bears,
Oh,
but
go ahead.
this man went for 48 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. 48. He was so close to 50 touchdowns, only 5 picks, and 4,300 passing yards too. So well-deserved number 1 seed in the NFC. So I would love to see a Packers Saints NFC Championship. That would be awesome. So I hope that would be something that could happen. But yeah, anyways, going back to Saints Bears, I'm riding with the Saints.
Connor, how you feeling about that game?
I couldn't agree more with what you guys just said. It's not. I don't think it's going to be close. The Bears walk into this 8-8, 500 team, just getting blown out by Green Bay in Week 17, and then the Saints, who are 2 seed, Drew Brees' second year, he's been hurt, missing time again. So I don't think he's going to be back based on that. I mean, we saw it 2 years ago with I forget who came in because it was not Taysom Hill. And then this year it was Taysom Hill. Yes, that's right. That's
5-0 Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy came in. He went to Carolina, got a big deal. Good for him. I love Teddy. But the Saints, the only thing that's been escaping their playoff hopes is themselves. Like we saw them last year. They got bounced by Minnesota. We all thought New Orleans was going to win that game, or at least I certainly did. And we all think New Orleans is going to win this game. So it's really just incumbent on them if they can stop Trubisky. And it would in my opinion, would have to be a colossal collapse for them.
Yeah, it would have to be like 7-9 Matt Hasselbeck bringing the Seahawks to the playoffs and beating the Saints whenever that was in like 2000, whenever that was. Like that's how this game would feel. Like it feels so lopsided that it's almost a trap game, like you're saying, Connor. And for Drew Brees' sake, I hope that's not how it goes. The next game we got going on, Seahawks-Rams, NFC West matchup. I like that a couple of these teams are having to play each other 3 times in the season. You know, got a couple of the divisional matchups. Pat, Seahawks-Rams, how you feeling?
This is a tough one. I don't know if I trust the Seahawks. The Seahawks are so good, but I don't know if I trust them this year. Russell Wilson has not looked as good as I thought he would. I think I'm going to go with the Rams on this one. The Rams are the lower seed, but I'm still going to go with the Rams. I think Jared Goff's finally going to get it done in crunch time. I know they made it to the Super Bowl, but then he had that abysmal performance in the Super Bowl. But I think the Rams are going to get it done against the Seahawks. DK Metcalf hasn't been as good in recent weeks. He hasn't been as much of a force. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a big factor is if they can stop DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett is sneaky good as well. I don't think the Seahawks have good enough of a run game. I just like the Rams for that reason. Their defense is great. They just had a great showing against the Cardinals, held the Cardinals to 7 points, even though Kyler Murray did get hurt. I think the Rams defense is going to be too much. I think the Seahawks are going to have a tough offensive performance, and I think the Rams are definitely going to win that game. But I think it is going to be close. I think maybe Rams within a touchdown.
All right. Connor, what about you looking at that Rams-Seattle matchup?
The first part, Pat, about everything you just said, I love it. It's for the opposite teams, though. I don't trust the Rams one bit for the way they finished the season.
That's fair.
And what you said about Wilson not playing well, Goff has really missed the mark for me. I don't like the way the Rams have played lately, especially coming off that loss to the Jets. I don't need to get into how I feel about that as a Jets fan. The Rams have not looked apart since that game. Jared Goff has been awful, to put it. I thought he'd at least be mediocre, but he's been awful. The Rams defense is holding them upright, and that's why they beat Arizona. You're right, and that's why they're in the playoffs. But Seattle's defense is coming along. If you look at the stats, the last 8 weeks or so, the last second half of the season, they've actually been top 10. Pretty good team. And Jamal Adams, Blitz boy's getting it done. That's all I'm going to say. He can't cover anyone, but he can sack a quarterback.
He's a great linebacker.
Exactly. And Russell Wilson's really good. And I know they don't have a run game, but I think it'll be enough. And especially given that Goff is thumb injury.
Yeah, and Connor, I'm with you. You know, I'm probably going with Seattle in this game because at the end of the day, it comes down to quarterback play in the playoffs. And I feel hypocritical saying this after saying how Derrick Henry is going to beat the Ravens. But you know, when it's Russell Wilson versus Jared Goff, you know, I just trust Russell Wilson, and it's a first round playoff game. Maybe if it's the next game or the next game, I'm not trusting the Seahawks. But Rams first week, like you said, I don't know what happened to Goff. He got that massive 130 whatever $1 million contract he got, and he hasn't been the same. I did not understand during that draft when Goff went 1 and Wentz went 2. I was like, oh my goodness. Some guy named Jared Goff and then some guy from North Dakota State went 1 and 2 in the draft. I couldn't believe it. I don't trust either of those guys to be quarterbacks of, you know, a marquee NFL franchise, winning playoff games like that. We saw Goff do nothing in a Super Bowl. I'm rolling with the Seahawks, my man Russell Wilson. He's one of the most likable guys in the league. And I just got to root for Russell Wilson because he's Russell Wilson. I love watching him play. He's a great dude. I'm rocking with the Seahawks there.
It's hard. It's hard to vote against him. I'm just riding on the Rams defense. Connor, you're right about Goff. He's not great. He's really he has not been good in past years. But I just think the Rams are going to be. I think their defense is going to be too much.
I mean, that defense is like stellar. They've invested so much into it. So I don't blame you. And playoffs is all about defense.
That's true. And I would.
We say it's all about QB play. It's all about Derrick Henry. It's all about. It's all
about everything.
So we all got different takes.
Turns out football is a team game. That's how that works.
Turns out it matters at every position.
All right. Well, you know, there's another team that really wishes they had a quarterback, the Washington football team. You know, that's a revolving door at quarterback there. They sneak into the playoffs. The NFC least division winners, 7-9, going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It has to be Brady and the Bucs all day. Washington shouldn't have been this game. If anything happens other than Tom Brady and those Bucs going out and winning by 3 touchdowns, it's a disgrace of a game for me. I think the Bucs should win this game by 20 points, and it shouldn't be close.
The craziest part about Washington making the playoffs was a shout out Field Yates in a tweet he put out. The scenario for the Washington football team coming into the playoffs was, so if they lost and certain other teams won, they could have picked as high as 3rd in the draft, or they could win and certain other teams could lose, and that's what happened here, and they make the playoffs. Not only make the playoffs, they win the division. So they won the NFC East, where if certain other things happened, they could have picked as high as 3rd. But they snuck into the playoffs. Honestly, I'm rooting for them so hard. Chandler, I know you're a Brady fan coming from New England for such a long time, and I do feel bad for the Bucs if they lose this game because they finally have a good team. They finally make the playoffs. So if the Bucs lose, I will feel bad. But I am really rooting for Washington in this game. I don't know why. It's cool to see teams sneak in and then go on a run. As you said, Matt Hasselbeck, Seahawks, way back in the day. But it would be so cool if Washington won this game. You got to feel if Alex Smith was able to quarterback them. Is Alex Smith going to play, by the way?
I think he's their starter, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Because I know they just got rid of Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
So if Alex Smith, what a story that would be if he came back and he won a playoff game against the Bucs. 11-5 or 12-4 Bucs. That would be incredible. So it's hard not to root for Washington with a team that's not supposed to be there. And if they were able to win, that would be crazy. So I'm gonna take the Bucs in this game, but my heart will be with Washington. I'll be rooting for them.
And you know, of course, I love Brady and I want him to succeed. But I think also as a Pats fan, I have a vendetta against wild card teams sneaking in with horrible records like the 8-8 Giants in 2007-8. So you know, maybe that's one reason why I'm a little anti really bad team, because I've seen it before, and then the Giants go on to beat my Patriots in the Super Bowl. But Connor, Tampa, Washington, what's this looking like? How you feeling, man?
I can't believe you guys aren't going to give Washington a chance.
No chance.
They went on a run. Like, they were in the bottom tier of the division, ready to throw it in, ready to mail it in. I like Alex Smith a lot. They're 5-1 in his starts. He is Chase Young, another Ohio State guy, stud. That front four, oh my God. I can't talk about it enough. Like I've never seen a team invest in the last 5 seasons 4 draft picks on all defensive linemen in the first round. I mean, that is incredible stuff.
Yeah, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young,
Montez Sweat, incredible.
Is Ryan Kerrigan still on that outside pass rush too? Like they got some boys.
That is an incredible defensive front, and watching them play is I love watching them play. Like it's honestly just it looks like art to me. It's just beautiful. Everything I imagine. So I think when I look at giving Washington a chance in this game, I look at the game where the Bucks lost or the Bucks barely beat the Giants on Monday Night Football. And I looked at that. The Giants got pressure all day long on Brady, and it was really tough, and they couldn't do much. And if Washington can do that here, they can win this game. Get the Brady, the Bucks, they're not going to win if the Brady and the Bucks score like 28, 35 points. It's just not going to happen. So it's going to have to be like a 21-20 football game, 20-14. It's going to have to be really low scoring, really tight. But I want to give Washington a chance. And I'm rooting for them for sure.
You know, I'm not giving Washington no chance. I actually really do like their run game between the combination of Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick. You got J.D. McKissick in receiving back, and then Antonio Gibson taking the bulk of the runs. That's a great combination. And for Alex Smith, probably one of the best screen passers and short throwers.
Sorry, I'm filming something right now. Sorry about that.
You're good. But yeah, that's a great backfield for J.D. McKissick and Antonio Gibson. And then you got Alex Smith, one of the best short throwers and screen passers in the game today. He was with the Chiefs. So I think they'll have a great game against the Bucks. Like you said, Connor, it's going to be tight, possibly low scoring as well. It has to be low scoring because if the Bucks start throwing it to Mike Evans, shout out Mike Evans, another 1,000-yard season. If they start letting it go to Mike Evans and Gronk and Chris Godwin, it's going to be a big problem. So I'm taking Bucks, but I do give Washington a chance.
Bucks by a million.
Yeah, you're completely right. Like it has to be low scoring. If the Bucks get 25, it's over.
Yeah,
right.
I see that that's a good number, I think.
And Connor, while we got you here, man, we got to talk a little Pats Jets last week, week 17. A good solid win for my Patriots. Probably Cam's last game here. Are there any positives to take out of that game for the Jets? I see Mekhi Becton get hurt, and I'm just like, that's the last thing I want to see go on for the Jets. Darnold looked decent in the first half, threw a couple bad picks, but what was going on with that game? Any positive takeaways for your New York Jets?
I'll pose a question first. Are you proud of that win as a Pats fan, or would you have rather lost that game?
I wouldn't have rather lost. I mean, the draft pick goes from 13 to 15 or 14 to 15. We have the 15th pick. Okay. I, as a Pats fan, have never really experienced a season like this. And I expect to go out and win that game. So I watched that full game like I watch every other game, and I expect us to go win and handle business. And we did, which, certainly didn't happen in the first game against the Jets up until the end, which the Jets totally tanked. But no, I'm not proud of it. Felt like a run-of-the-mill game, and I would much rather take the win than go up a few spots in the draft.
That was not meant to be a diss. I just wanted your honest.
Oh yeah, no, you're good.
But now I'll answer my part of the question. Well, I mean, Gase didn't even get fired on Black Monday. They fired him that night. So that was kind of a win. I've been waiting for Gase to get out of there since the start of the season. Wow. But I'm glad Chris Johnson Woody Johnson manned up and did it after 2 seasons. I like Joe Douglas a lot. So mostly what I'm taking away is just future kind of things. Like what I saw out of Sam Darnold is what I saw all season. And I hate to see that. I love Sam. And I have 7 jerseys on my wall. Like Sam is, you can't see it, but Sam's on here. I love him, but his time has come and his time is over. And I hope Mekhi Becton will be. I think he'll be back week 1, but other than that, he should be.
So you don't wanna see Sam Darnold stay? You want to see him go, or you just think it's time?
I just think it's time. Like I don't see us like we have the second pick. I don't see us drafting Penei Sewell for the right tackle. Like, yeah, it would be great, but that's not getting us from 2 wins to 10 wins. And so I don't think that's a great move. Yeah, you can trade down and get a bunch of picks, but from a Jets fan, we've done that for years. We chose that route. We chose the Geno Smith route. We chose the Mark Sanchez route.
Oh, don't bring me back to Geno Smith.
Like I'm done. We went with Fitzpatrick in his veteran career and went 10-6. Like I don't want to do the cheap way anymore. I want to get an offensive minded coach. I want to get a new quarterback. I want to build a wall around him. Basically, just start drafting linemen, get some skill guys, start competing. And we have a ton of cap space. Like this is ideal for Joe Douglas. He can do whatever he wants. He's got 2 first-round picks. I think Sam can succeed somewhere else. It's just not here.
It's something I never thought I'd hear someone say. Sam Darnold said he wanted to be a Jet for life, and he was sad for Adam Gase. But I've never heard anyone say they want to be a Jet for life. I'm sorry, Connor.
Sam is – this is why I love Sam. Like, he's never going to say the wrong thing.
No, definitely not.
All year long, 0-12, 0-13, 0-10. Like, he was the QB. He's getting peppered with these questions. Like, hey, they're going after Lawrence, right? Hey, like, what do you think about them going after Lawrence? They're tanking for Lawrence, right? And he's just like, man, I just want to be a Jet. I just want to be here. I love playing quarterback. Like, I love Sam. He's so mature, like exactly what you want in a quarterback. It's just not good enough.
And I think he can succeed in another situation too. So my hope for him, even though, I never wish the Jets any success as a Patriots fan, I hope that he gets moved to Pittsburgh or New England for a bunch of draft picks. Jets get a bunch of draft picks, take Justin Fields. Pat, if you couldn't tell, Connor's an Ohio State fan, so get Justin Fields up in New York for him, and then just build around a bunch of young guys. Fill the roster out as much as you can with decent draft picks, and build from there. And offer Eric Bieniemy the keys to the kingdom, and offer him 5% ownership of the New York Jets to come in. Obviously not, because that's too much. But just give him whatever he wants. Just give him anything he wants. You
have to give him like a stake, a stake in the ownership, or a stake in me and Joe Douglas are on the same field. If I want him fired, that's okay. Like I don't know.
Yes,
you have to let him do whatever he wants. Bieniemy has been my top guy for that position. Some other good candidates too. Some college coaches that are interesting.
Well, now that I know you're an Ohio State fan, I got to ask Connor. So Urban Meyer is going to be a big hot ticket item this offseason. The Chargers might want him. Jacksonville rumors. The Jets could go after him. What would you like to see Urban Meyer as the coach in New Jersey?
Not for my team. Really good recruiter. I love Urban, obviously, because he brought us that championship with Zeke, and I love that team. But Urban is really good recruiter. He's really good at inspiring people. He's also really good at creating a mess and just leaving at the right time. And so I don't know how it's going to work on the pro level, like him just creating a huge scandal and then just like, yeah, my heart's getting too much. I'm going to walk away. This is not. I
forgot about that.
Because he does it so well.
He did the same thing at Florida too. Like won a couple championships. They got bad because he messed up so much. And he's like, "All right, time for my next chapter. Bye."
Well, for Florida too. I forget I think it was Bowling Green he was at before, or whatever school. He did really well. Some weird scandal came up. Drops out. What he does, he chills for a couple years, and then a job comes up. He's like, "Boom, I want it." He gets it. happen to like he's really good at that stuff. So I think I just see him come back at the college level. But if he coaches like the Jags or something,
then Trevor Lawrence, your career's done. He's gonna mess it up, according to Connor. No, I'm just kidding. That is funny. All right, Connor, one last thing, moving away from football a little bit. Got to get a little New York Knicks talk in here too, just since you're here. I am just remarkably proud of you as your friend for being a Knicks fan and a Jets fan for as long as you have been. I mean, I even got my Pat Ewing poster up here. And my dream team poster with Pat Ewing up there in between Mullen and Bird. Had to represent the Knicks real quick for you, man.
Yes.
The Knicks are playing okay this season. Tom Thibodeau is bringing a little bit of a different vibe. We're trusting Leon Rose and some of those other guys in the front office. What's going on with your Knicks? How you feeling about them? And is RJ Barrett the answer? Because go Duke.
He is the answer. I love Barrett before anything. But I'm glad we're recording this. It's January 5th, 2021. The Knicks are good. I haven't been able to say that.
Good?
I think they're good. It's been years. We have some good wins this season, man. We won 4 of our last 5. We've won 4 of our last 5. That's like going to the playoffs for us. That's I can't say enough about Thibodeau as a coach. RJ Barrett is playing his butt off this year. He's really stepped it up from this is only year 2 for him. I keep forgetting year 1 was last year for him because he was clearly by far the best player on the team last year. And that's, in my opinion, happening again this year. You ask everyone else, it's Julius Randle. I'm not buying into that, but the Knicks may come down to earth, and I get that. I've seen this happen a lot. We're only 7 games in to a 72-game season, so we all need to relax a little bit. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But that being said, I do love where we're going. I'm so excited for this team. I'm excited to see what Thibodeau does with this team. Man, we can only go up from here.
It's true. That's true. And off of RJ Barrett being that best player, one thing I've noticed this season is he's locked in on defense, which I never saw at Duke. And you know me, I watch every Duke men's basketball game. I didn't see it last year whenever I'd watch the Knicksers highlights. And Pat will remember from our college radio show, 4th and 6, shout out WSKB at Westfield. I, before the draft, was saying RJ Barrett is going to be a better pro than Zion Williamson. And that is something that I said for both of them coming out. And Zion is box office. Zion's going to be 25 and 10. And who doesn't love Zion? I love the kid, most marketable player in the league right now. But I think RJ Barrett has all the tools as a 6'7", 6'8" guard who can handle the ball, who can pass the ball, who can score at all 3 levels. And that's something you need in the league now, to be able to score inside, mid-range, 3-point. He's shifty. He knows how to use his body. This kid, I'm telling you, he's going to end up being a 27, 7-7 guy. I am a huge RJ Barrett fan, and I think we just need to let young guys come into their own. Brandon Ingram, his 4th year in the league, he's an all-star with 25 points a game, and he was a bust on the Lakers. Just let these kids play, let them come into their own, and let them grow, man. RJ Barrett could be that dude, and I think he is for the Knicks.
You hit the nail on the head. I'll speak to what you said first. His defense has been phenomenal. And you'll find that a lot with this Knicks team. Like, they're not shooting the lights out every game. They're not killing everyone from 3. We don't have shooters. They're just playing defense. Like, our last win before the Hawks, we went 3 for 23 from deep. Still won the game. Like, again, it was Indiana. We're just playing good defense. And back to RJ Barrett as a player, man, he could be the first rookie we extend. Oh my God, since the 80s. I don't even know the last rookie we extended. It's been so goddamn long. It has been forever. And it looks like they're going to literally let Frank walk out the door, which is sad. I like Frank a lot. But RJ, you're like you said, he can score at all 3 levels. He's a ball handler. And the fact that he's playing defense now, and him scoring at all 3 levels is only becoming more prevalent in the league right now. I didn't think he was a phenomenal shooter coming out of college. And his 3-point numbers were gaudy at Duke. He's really, really worked on it. He's completely bought in. Like he's in the gym. He's clearly like stepped it up. He's noticed like even his numbers from last year, like percentages wise, were not great.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. Like that was one of his huge calling cards. Like, yeah, he averaged 15, but shot 40% from the field and 30 from deep. But he's answered the bell this year. I can't say enough good things about this kid. I'm excited.
And Barrett's in a position where he could even become more marketable than Zion, which is saying something. I mean, Zion's playing in New Orleans. It's not a big market, not a huge fan base. I mean, they just rebranded recently. And where did they move from? Were they always in New Orleans, or did they just rebrand to the Pelicans?
It was the Charlotte Bobcats. And
Okay, that's right. So they did relocate.
The Charlotte Hornets, and then they became the New Orleans Hornets again, and then they were the Pelicans.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, but Barrett's, I mean, he's playing at the Mecca. He's with the Knicks. And if the Knicks are good, I mean, if they return to glory like their old days, Barrett could be one of the most marketable players in the NBA. He could be a superstar. I know he's quiet. You don't hear a lot about him, but if he lets his play talk for him and he's on the Knicks, they would be one of the biggest teams. I think just being on the Knicks, they would be one of the most marketable teams in general if they're a good team.
And the NBA is better when the Knicks are good. It is one of their pillar teams. If the Knicks are good, it's better for the NBA. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think Zion's good, but he's got to stay healthy. I think part of that is going to be, I think he's going to have to lose a little bit of weight. I think Barrett's, like you said, too shifty. I think if he does start playing, I think this could be his breakout year. And if it is, and the Knicks finish in the playoffs, if they're in the playoffs this year, you might see that takeover start.
If the Knicks make the playoffs, we're going to put Barrett on the moon.
Dude, if the Knicks, they can't make the playoffs. They can't. I just can't have it with Connor. Just one more season with teasing Connor about no Knicks in the playoffs, man.
They can make a 9. If they make a 9 or 10 seed, they can get the play-in game. Like all you had to do, man. I don't even care if they get bounced as the 8 seed. They win one playoff game, you will not stop hearing about it all summer long. I'm gonna talk about Team of Destiny.
Oh no, I don't know about Team of Destiny yet.
I'll pull out the receipts from Adam Silver himself. From the rigged lottery, we should have had Zion. We should have had KD. We should have had. I don't care.
You want to talk about a rigged lottery? How do you think you got Patrick Ewing in '84, man?
That's when times were good. David Stern knows what he's doing.
Oh, stop it. They rigged that one more than anything.
Come on, Adam Silver. He might be even better than David Stern. He's coming into it.
Yeah, Silver's the GOAT.
We talked about that last week. Adam Silver's the best commissioner.
Easy.
I know, because I did listen to your show last week, and you guys did a really good job with your interview. And you're right. Adam Silver is the best commissioner. I just wish he had a little sense and just, like you gotta think a little bit as a commissioner. You're like, okay, who might Zion box office? He's gonna be box office for the next 10 years. Where am I gonna put him? Am I gonna put him in New Orleans where he's gonna die?
Oh,
I don't think he
replace AD.
I don't think he's rigging the lottery either, to be honest. I don't think Adam Silver's thinking about that.
That's the first issue. You should be thinking about that.
All right. Well, Connor, man, it's been a pleasure having you on. You want to just tell people about All the Balls real quick? Tell them to go follow you. Tell them to listen. Check it out. I do.
Very quickly. So I'm a host of a podcast show with Justin Miller and Jake Platter, two of my hometown friends from Easton as well. We host a show called All the Balls. Basically, we're just talking about what did you think it is. All balls, all sports basically related. Me and Justin and Jake are pretty well versed in the 4 sports. We go from basketball, we go from hockey, which even though is puck, not ball related. We go from baseball and we go to football too. We also cover all the college sports. It's really everything you want. We try to pack everything into a tight hour. We do picks. We give our analysis on games, give our predictions, and we have some good guests on there. We've interviewed Sean Grande. We've interviewed DeMar Langford, who's a BC freshman right now. playing basketball for them. We're hoping to get some good other good guests on there as well. It's been a fun time, and if you guys have got some free time while you're checking out this amazing podcast, just go to the same link. Go to the same app. Just find all the balls there. You can find it on Anchor and Spotify as well.
Yes, sir. Fun podcast,
Awesome.
man.
I know I'll be listening.
Absolutely, Connor. Thanks for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure. And go Jets, go Knicks, man.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure being on. Thank you guys. And looks like Pat's the only one who's got a team in the playoffs for the NFL. So I guess go Ravens.
Go Ravens.
Could be a slow couple weeks for you guys. Hey, we could be on the way out too. I'm nervous about those Titans.
It'll be fun. It'll be good. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
All right, Connor. Thanks again, man.
All right. Have a good one.
So moving on with some more basketball, even though Connor's left us, going to continue on. Not as much about the Knicks anymore. Moving on to our hometown team, the Boston Celtics. Pat, Celtics have had an interesting start to the season, but what we're seeing out of Jaylen Brown, what we're seeing out of Jason Tatum, and what we're seeing out of Peyton Pritchard, he's been the biggest surprise out of anyone this season. We have so much to look forward to. The Celtics team is doing amazing things. Jaylen Brown sets his career high with 42. Jason Tatum follows it the next game, scoring 39 points only through 3 quarters. I mean, these guys are going back and forth. They're both locked up for the next 4 or 5 years on good contracts. I mean, Tatum's on the max. Brown is on an almost max. And I was so wrong about Jaylen Brown's contract. I thought we way overpaid him. His deal looks like a bargain now. Tatum, in my opinion, is somewhere between a top 10 and 15 player in the league. And Jaylen Brown isn't far behind him. Jaylen Brown is probably somewhere in the 20 to 25 range of best players in the league. And as far as I'm concerned, these two players are untouchable. Neither of these guys can be traded from Boston. They are an elite duo. They are looking like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. And once Kemba Walker comes back in a month or two, if he can stay healthy and if he can get that knee right, this team is going to be scary. It is going to be scary with how good all these young guys are getting.
Yeah, we're going to be a problem. And I hope you're right. I hope Danny Ainge listens to the fans and we don't get rid of Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. Those are two guys we need. They're two excellent pieces. They fit so well in the team we're trying to create in Boston. So I'm really happy with how it's looked, and especially Jaylen Brown too. I mean, he's coming into his own this year. He's playing up to the max contract, but that huge contract.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes you see when guys get huge contracts like that, they, for some reason, fall off a little bit. But Jaylen Brown's taking it up another level, and he's looked as good as Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown has looked as good as Jason Tatum, which I did not think I would be saying. And your guy Peyton Pritchard as well. I mean, he's giving me like an Alex Caruso vibe. It's like this guy that everyone loves, and they're all on the bandwagon. But I hope he can continue to get an increased role in the Celtics. I hope he can keep doing what he's doing. I mean, he's shooting 42% from 3, and the numbers he's putting up for 22 or 23 minutes a game is excellent. He's a great role player right now. And if he gets an increased role, that could be a huge asset, especially good shooting guard. We need good guard play while Kemba's out with injury, so it's awesome to see.
Yeah, and with both Kemba and Jeff Teague out, they're handing it to Peyton Pritchard, and I've had enough of this too big lineup that Brad Stevens keeps rolling out. Start Peyton Pritchard at point guard. You need to stop running with Tice and Thompson both starting, and just let this team play open. Semi Ojeley's playing better. Peyton Pritchard's playing well. Get these guys on the court. Open up the court. Let everyone shoot. Let everyone ball out, because there's a bunch of ballers on this team. And if you just go out and let them play, they're going to keep getting better. I mean, Jason Tatum, what did he need to add? Playmaking. He gets 12 assists the other night. Jaylen Brown, what did he need to add? A better shot, more consistency down the stretch. That's exactly what he did. These young kids are getting so good, man. And what the Celtics have in those two players is special. It is special.
Yeah, it really feels like the biggest pieces we have in the offseason worked on exactly what they needed to work on, which I'm so pumped about, because in the offseason, sometimes guys will they don't do what they need to do, and they won't improve in the areas they need to improve in. But like you said, Jaylen Brown, his shot, Jason Tatum, his playmaking. I mean, Jason Tatum's looking like a guy who can put up triple doubles. We'll see if that starts happening, but I am getting that feeling from him, and I would love that. It's weird too because Jaylen Brown almost seems like a guy who could put up triple doubles too. I think he would need to get more assists, but um, these two pieces that we have are just amazing. And I do think maybe we'll need one more piece. I mean, maybe Kemba will fill that gap that we need. Hopefully the team will fill out and we can compete with the Bucks in the Eastern Conference. But I like what you said about no two bigs either. We don't need two bigs. But I keep saying a big that I would love to see on the Celtics, I think he would fit well, is Aaron Gordon from the Magic. If we got Aaron Gordon, I know it's a long shot, but I think that's the piece we need.
Yeah, just a really super athletic four that can play
Yep,
small ball five, stretch the floor. Because that's the
exactly.
thing. When Tice is on the court, when Thompson's on the court, when Rob Williams is on the court, who's another player that has gotten much better this year, whose playmaking has gotten a lot better this year, we don't space the court nearly as well. If Aaron Gordon was out there, I don't know what his contract is looking like. He's probably too much money, but we have the biggest trade exception in NBA history because of Gordon Hayward. It's like 31 million.
Yep.
We can literally work an extra $31 million into a trade. Ainge, go get somebody, man. Go get somebody. Make the run this year. It's time.
It is
Tatum's
time.
ready. Brown's ready. My man P. Rabbit, Peyton Pritchard is ready, man. He's got all the best nicknames too, dude. People calling him
Yeah, P
Fast
Rabbit.
PP, P Rabbit, dude. 8 Mile, all these things. Like people are loving Pritchard. I'm loving him. He's a smart player. He's crafty, knows how to use his body well, and he's another guy that's just going to keep getting better and better. And speaking of a couple of guys that are just getting better and better, man, there's some young players out in Chi-Town and New Orleans that you want to talk about a little bit that have just been balling out this season.
Yeah, and on a team, so Zach LaVine on a team like the Bulls, that's really developing, and they're going to start coming into their own over the next few years. I think they still need to let guys develop and get another piece. But Zach LaVine has looked amazing for the Bulls so far to start the season. He's averaging 24 points, 3 assists, 4 rebounds a game. Those are great numbers, exactly what they need from him. We've always seen he's one of the most athletic guys in the league, one of the most emphatic dunkers, winning the dunk contest, always in it. And the Bulls are only 3-4. I mean, we're going to expect that from the Bulls this season. They're going to finish in the 8th, maybe the 9th, the 10th spot. And that's what we expect. They're going to be developing. But with a guy like Zach LaVine, if he can be the star power that they need, uh, they could be going places in the next 3 or 4 years. And I love that. I love what I've seen out of Zach LaVine this season. And then another kind of mid-tier team with a breakout player that we're seeing is Brandon Ingram on the Pelicans. I mean, like you've said, he was a bust in LA. It was almost like, I mean, they kept Kyle Kuzma over Brandon Ingram, which was a crime, but it was the best thing that could have happened to Brandon Ingram and probably the worst thing that could have happened to Kyle Kuzma because Kuzma hasn't done so well since that trade, and Brandon Ingram is flourishing, especially this season on a team like the Pelicans where they need a breakout star. It's a good young team. They have a great core. Brandon Ingram's averaging 25 points, 6 boards, and 5 assists a game on a Pelicans team that's 4-3 to start the year. I think we're going to see them at a similar position to the Bulls, except in their respective conference. I think they could sneak into the playoffs at an 8 seed. It depends on the play of Zion as well and Lonzo Ball if they're good at distributing. But they have Steven Adams as well, Josh Hart, and I think Brandon Ingram breaking out is the piece that they needed. And if he could be their superstar, he kind of reminds me of Zach LaVine in that way, where the team needs a breakout star, and Brandon Ingram could be that guy for the Pelicans.
Yeah, and it's funny, and I agree with you. You know, Brandon Ingram was an all-star last year, and he averaged 25 a game, but it still feels like there's that next step to take for him to become that elite player. And it's the
Definitely.
same as Zach LaVine. They might be averaging these big stats, but their teams aren't winning enough games. You're not making the playoffs, and it's time for that next step. And I could definitely see those two guys taking that next step. And you know, I'm looking at two guys in the East here with players that I've really liked watching early in the season, and it's another young guy who I'm ready to take that next step with in Trae Young. Obviously, we know Trae Young could ball. Obviously, he's shooting from 35 feet. He's nutmegging people. He's going behind the back, through the legs, all this crazy stuff. But you got to win games, Trae, and that's the one thing the Hawks didn't do last year. But with what Lloyd Pierce is doing down there coaching that team, Trae Young is balling out. He's averaging 29, 4, and 9, similar to what he averaged last year. but they're 4-3. They're winning games. John Collins has stepped up. Clint Capella has stepped up. Cam Reddish, Huerter, all these guys are getting better and better. They signed Bogdanovich in the offseason. They signed Rondo to come off their bench. Hawks are getting better. I'm looking for Trey to take that next step on defense and in a leadership role, because that's what the Hawks need. And this team is going to be in the playoffs this year. They're too talented. They're too much fun. And they are too perfectly suited to play in today's NBA. They are filled with athletic guys that run the court and that can shoot. And that's all the NBA is now. Run the court, shoot, be long, be athletic. They have guys all over the court that are coming to their own. Trae Young's one of those guys, and I look forward to continue watching him play. And keeping it in the East, the best team in the East right now, which hurts me to say, the Philadelphia 76ers are at 6-1, man. And it turns out, guess what happens when you have two all-stars and you surround them with guys that fit? You win games. You have had Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid the past few years being all-stars, playing phenomenal, being elite defensive players. And you didn't put any shooters around them, man. You put Al Horford. You put Tobias Harris playing the 3. I love you, Toby, but you were playing the 3. And Josh Richardson, guess what? You put Tobias Harris at the 4, and you bring in Danny Green and Seth Curry. It's a whole different team. And one of the players that I've been watching specifically this week is Tobias Harris, who just won Eastern Conference Player of the Week. Could have gone to Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, but, I'll take it with Tobias Harris. He's averaging like 19, 8, and 3 on the season right now. And it is just such a perfect fit. I loved when they got him. But the problem was you add Al Horford to that team. Now that Horford's gone, Tobias Harris can play that natural stretch 4 position. That's where he needs to be. That's where he's meant to play. And you put a couple more shooters on the team. Simmons is playing great. Embiid's playing great. But the key is that third guy. It's always, does a team have that third guy like we talked about with the Celtics? Can Kemba be that third guy? Tobias Harris is that third guy, and I trust him. He's a vet. He's been on 5 different teams. And he's having a great year. And as much as it hurts to say, I look forward to seeing him and the Sixers continue to succeed, because you want to watch young players play well. And now that Simmons and Embiid have a good roster put around them, I'm excited for this team, and especially what Tobias Harris can do.
Yeah, all this young talent breaking out. It's exciting to see where
awesome.
The league's going to be heading. Yeah, this is the picture of the league over the next 10 years. Guys like Brandon Ingram, Zach LaVine, Tobias Harris is a little bit older than them, but Trae Young. It's amazing. And the Hawks could be a title contender coming out of the East in years to come.
Okay.
Not this year. In years to come, definitely not this year. I won't jump the gun that badly, but years to come, over the next 5 years, we'll see what they do.
Yeah, I mean, the sky is the limit for that team. It really is. And it's like you say, 5 years down the road, their whole team is going to be 26, 25. They're not even hitting their full prime yet.
I know,
and they're
exactly.
amazing. It's just like that U.S. men's team we've been talking about with Eli last week. I'm telling you, couple of years.
Give us a chance.
Next segment we got coming up, little gloves off, Pat. Time to talk a little UFC, little fighting. And, man, there's been some weird stuff going on this year with some boxing matches and all these celebrity call-outs. We got both the Paul brothers. We got Jake and Logan with massive fights, man. One's fighting Floyd Mayweather, and the other's fighting Ben Askren. What is going on with those two fights, and what did these YouTubers get themselves into, man?
Yeah, for all my combat sports fans out there, fellow combat sports fans, including boxing. I'm not the biggest boxing guy. I'm more into MMA, but Ben Askren going to fight Jake Paul, supposedly. I don't think the deal's done yet, but Ben Askren made a video, and it seems like he's accepting. We'll see if Jake Paul is legitimate about the offer. But, yeah, that one's weird because Ben Askren is mostly a wrestler. I mean, he was an Olympic wrestler. He was a champion over in a one championship with their MMA. And then he came over to UFC, and he didn't have a great run in the UFC, but he was undefeated before he came over, and then he lost to Jorge Masvidal, that terrible knockout. But he's a wrestler, and he's fighting Jake Paul, who legitimately is a boxer. I mean, I know he's a YouTuber, and I don't really like the Paul brothers. I like Logan Paul a little bit, but Ben Askren, I'm kind of worried for him. I know he's saying, he's the athlete, he's a mixed martial artist, but his stand-up was never a strong suit, and boxing's a whole different world. If Ben Askren if Jake Paul improves and he keeps training with the people he says he's training with, then he's going to be a problem. And I'm kind of worried for Ben Askren in that fight. But
And those kids are young too.
yeah,
Like
Jake Paul's
the
22, I think,
the
21.
Pauls are legit athletes and they're young. If they want
Yeah.
to actually commit to it, there's potential.
Yeah. And you know what? If Ben Askren doesn't care about possibly losing to a YouTuber in an embarrassing loss to poor Nate Robinson, I feel so bad. I mean, he got memed, he got knocked out so bad, but he would get a big payday. I mean, that's for sure. Ben Askren to make a whole ton of money, so I wouldn't feel too bad for him if he got knocked out. And then you got Logan Paul, who's just going to get probably an even bigger payday. I say probably, way bigger. He's fighting Floyd Mayweather, and that fight is a done deal. That's coming up, I believe, February. I think he's fighting him. But that's going to be a crazy fight. I think it's only going to be 6 rounds. But he's fighting the best boxer of all time, at least the best defensive boxer of all time, in Floyd Mayweather. I mean, Floyd Mayweather, the only advantage Logan has is that it's only 6 rounds, because what Floyd does, or what he did over his career, is by round, he kind of, as Brendan Schaub says, he downloads his movement, he analyzes him, and then he comes back in one of the later rounds and he just absolutely annihilates you, and he knows exactly what move you're going to make. And for a guy like Logan Paul, who lost to another YouTuber, I mean, it's not a real boxer. Logan Paul is going to get a huge payday, but I just don't see it going well for him. He's way bigger than Floyd, and I don't think he's going to be able to touch Floyd. If he makes contact, it's going to hurt Floyd, but I don't think he's going to get hit. So I got to give it to Floyd in that. But I tell you what, just for the sake of the betting odds, I might throw a few bucks on Logan Paul, because even if I throw $5 on him, I'm going to win hundreds of dollars back because the odds are so bad. So, yeah, interesting with the Paul brothers. I don't really – it's in boxing anyways. I'm more of an MMA guy, like I said. But beginning of the year 2021, we got some great things to look forward to out of the UFC too. So they're going back to Fight Island in Abu Dhabi, 3 fight cards in 1 week. So Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday.
That's nuts.
Some great fights headlining those cards. On the 16th, we get Max Holloway, greatest featherweight of all time, fighting Calvin Kattar, our hometown New England boy. So I love Max, but I got to root for Kattar just because he's the New England boy. I love him. Yep, I love them New England boys. His I forget what his nickname is, but it's something to do with Boston. So I will be rooting for Kattar in that matchup. And then midweek, if anyone is a combat sports fan out there, you're sad just like I am. Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev, canceled. Khamzat had COVID, didn't recover in time, so that fight's canceled. They're gonna scrap it and move it on, reschedule it. So we'll have that to look forward to. Sad it's not going to be the main event for the Wednesday card. They moved on to Michael Chiesa and Neil Magny, who it's not a big name card, or it's not a big name main event, but it is just a fight night. It's not a pay-per-view or anything like that. Those are 2 still really good fighters. Michael Chiesa could be coming into a title shot if he wins this fight, and then one more after that. He's in the conversation for sure at welterweight. And then the card that everyone's going to be looking forward to, January 23rd, the return of McGregor. Yes. I know I'll be watching that. Chandler will probably watch because it's a McGregor card.
Yep.
Everyone's going to be watching. Rematch with Dustin Poirier. McGregor knocked him out back in the day. That was when McGregor was on his meteoric rise. We'll see what happens. Poirier is one of my favorite fighters. He's much improved from that. I mean, he was an interim champion. He beat Max Holloway. He beat Justin Gaethje. He beat Eddie Alvarez. I mean, he beat all the top guys except for Khabib. And everyone loses to Khabib, so it's like, whatever. But this is going to be a pure striking matchup. I think I'm going to lean towards McGregor, but I would say the odds are pretty much even for this one. Dustin's going to be a tough out. It's going to be tough for McGregor to knock him out like he did last time. It's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to go 3-4 rounds. I think McGregor might get the 4th round KO. We'll see. Like I said, Dustin's going to be a tough out, but a lot of exciting things to come. And I guess a lot more people might have to pay for that McGregor card too, because saw recently on Twitter, Dana White and ESPN are going to be going after all the illegal streams. And that is one of the biggest problems with the UFC, is with the pay-per-view model as well, is that everyone's going to be trying to illegally stream it always.
It's expensive, man.
It's very expensive. And what's even worse for them, the prices are increasing. So it went in 2018, it was $60, and then actually 2019 it was $60. 2020 last year, it was $65, and now beginning of the year, so this card starting with this one, it's up to $70. So it keeps increasing. I don't know if they'll go past 70. I could see them maybe pushing it up to 80 in the years to come. But $70 is a lot for once a month pay-per-view.
It costs a lot of money to have a whole island in
It
Dubai,
does.
man.
Yeah, that's for sure. And there's no live gates. There's no fans.
Right.
So it's like
There's
they
no
almost need to.
concessions.
Yeah, and that's not even the UFC's doing. It's more ESPN and Disney. It's more they're doing. They probably need more money in a time like this during COVID. I mean, I know their revenue's down on ESPN, Disney as well, with all their all the parks and everything. Revenue's down, so they got to make a little extra money somehow. But I think that's why they're going to try so hard to shut down all the illegal streams. Even though I've paid for a few cards, but the the streams are just so easy to access. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if they actually get to. I know they're going to probably be able to find them and prosecute them. We'll see what happens. I am interested to see if they're able to successfully shut down the streams. And I guess
It'll be hard to.
I guess we'll find out with McGregor. Yeah, because everyone can do it. I feel like it's so easy if you actually learn. It does come with huge risk, though.
Yeah, you never know. One way or another, I'm looking forward to watching McGregor fight again, man. He's retired as many times as Brett Favre, but I'll still tune in every single time.
Yeah, he's retired like 3 times now. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, a lot going on in the UFC and boxing world, man. It's an exciting time for a couple different combat sports. That's for sure.
2021 is going to be a big year. I'm excited for it.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, moving on. We're going to get a little climb time in, so we're going to be talking about some alternative sports that people don't really know about and they don't really talk about that often. But on November 4th, so about 2 months ago now, Emily Harrington, who's a pro rock climber, free climbed the climb Golden Gate on El Capitan, which is the climbing mecca of the world in Yosemite National Park in California. Now, this climb, rated 512B, I know that means nothing to anyone out there, but that is ridiculously hard. This is some world-class climbing, one of the hardest things in the world. She became the 4th person ever to free climb El Cap in a day, which is an unbelievable accomplishment. She is only the 2nd woman to ever do it behind Lynn Hill, who was the 1st person to ever do it on the nose route and everything. But I just want to take a second and shout out Emily Harrington, because that is an accomplishment that has clearly not been done. It's only 4 people to do it. It's really remarkable. And, a lot of people know free climbing, you think free soloing, like that movie Free Solo with Alex Honnold. She has ropes on, but she's putting everything in herself. She has no support. It's just her on the wall, 21 straight hours of the hardest climbing you could ever dream of. And very, very impressive. So just want to shout out Emily Harrington there. And just want to say a little bit about my own climbing experience. I started climbing a couple years ago as a hobby, turned into one of my favorite things to do, one of my favorite pastimes. And I'm actually going to be building my own climbing wall in my backyard. I don't know if it's going to be this month, next month, depends on weather, all this stuff. But hopefully I can get you guys along for that journey too, because it's going to be a lot of fun. Going to drop some money on it and build a really cool climbing wall in my backyard. It's one of the coolest sports in the world. I think it's something that more people should be checking out. And if you haven't, go type in Emily Harrington Golden Gate to YouTube, listen to some interviews about it, watch some film of her doing it. One of the coolest things you'll ever see. Shout out Emily. We're going to talk a little bit of running on this podcast too. I am a big runner myself, Pat. I know you're starting to get back into a little bit casually. So last year I did about 602 miles in the year 2020. I ran 264 days out of the year. It sounds like a lot. It's really not. I feel like I need to do way more. If people don't know about the sport ultra running, ultra marathoning, it is technically anything that is past a marathon. So anything over 26.2, Pat. That means you could be running a 50K, which is 31 miles. Maybe it's a 50-mile race. Maybe it's a 60-mile race. Maybe it's 100. Maybe it's 135 like Badwater. Maybe it's 150. But people just do the absolute craziest things. They push their bodies to the absolute limits. They run for 48 straight hours without sleeping. Some of the things that ultra runners do are phenomenal. They're incredible. And, they'll put in 1,000 miles over a month or 2 months, which is nuts. My goal for 2021 is 1,100 miles on the year. And I have some other running challenges like half marathons and things like that, only 13 miles. But I just want to shout out all the ultra runners, all the ultra athletes. We're going to have some on soon on this show to give you their perspective, because I speak on it. I'm a fan. I've read some phenomenal books. A couple books I'd recommend: Born to Run by Christopher McDougall. That really, really brought ultra running into the mainstream. And I say mainstream, Pat, it's still not mainstream. It's not going to be for a long time, because no one wants to watch someone run for 30 straight hours. You can't really televise it,
Fair.
But Born to Run, Christopher McDougall, check it out. Rich Roll, Finding Ultra, another phenomenal book about his transition to ultra running. Ultra Marathon Man, Dean Karnassus, one of my favorite authors, a person I'm a huge fan of. 30th birthday, decided to run 30 miles, first time he ran in 15 years, and goes on these amazing journeys to Antarctica and the Gobi Desert and all over the place, running like a madman. 50 marathons, 50 days, 50 straight days, every state in the US. They just do some really phenomenal things. And if it's a sport or something that you haven't checked out before, I would just say check out ultra running, man. Go find some books, go find some videos, watch something on YouTube. ESPN 30 for 30 just released a documentary called The Infinite Race about the Tarahumara, the runners that Born to Run is based around. Check that out. It's on ESPN. It's called The Infinite Race. Just want to shout out all the ultra runners, highlight them. We're going to have some on the pod. We're super excited to bring them on to right off the bus, but just take a second, respect what some of these people are doing. Think about that 1 mile jog around the block, Pat, and then do it 100 times in the desert, in mountains.
And I'm dying after one of those. It's like, I can't even fathom running 100 more of those.
I run 3 miles and I'm gassed, and I call myself a runner. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy what these people do. I have some big goals for this year. I'm going to be sharing some of them on here while I'm running, sharing them on my own Instagram. But just want to shout out all the runners and say respect the runners and the ultra athletes out there, because they do things that you couldn't even fathom. So before we get to our next segment, we just wanted to take a little break and give you a quick word from one of our sponsors, Book Thinkers. So if you read personal development books, you should absolutely check out Book Thinkers. It's a company that is totally dedicated to helping you fulfill any part of your life through reading and through books. Every day on Instagram, you're going to see multiple posts. You're going to see book recommendations, book tips, connect you with mentors and people that you didn't know you needed to meet. And they release a podcast every single week with some of the best authors in the world. This team at Book Thinkers, they're going to help you discover new books, new mentors, and you're going to achieve more and live better through reading. I mean, the right book can absolutely change your life if you read it at the right time. So head on over to Instagram, search Book Thinkers, or go to bookthinkers.com and check them out, because it's a page everyone should be following. It's a podcast everyone should be listening to, and it's an app that everyone should be using. Check it out. Shout out Book Thinkers. And they're sponsoring a segment, What We've Learned. How fitting with Book Thinkers. Pat, what have you learned this week in the world of sports, man?
So what I learned this week and from the start of the NBA is that I was wrong about LaMelo Ball, because I was always down on Lonzo too, and just the whole big baller brand, the whole gimmick that LeVar was running. But these boys are for real. Lonzo's for real on the Pelicans. He's looking better than he ever has. He's really starting to develop. And LaMelo too, he's better than I thought he would be. I kind of thought he was going to come into the league, and I know he's always been flashy, but I didn't think he was going to be legit. But I think the Hornets are doing the right thing. They're letting him develop. He's coming off the bench. He's averaging 11, 4, and 4 off the bench with minimal minutes. So with the flair he brings too, he's going to put people in the seats once they're able to have fans. People are going to come to see LaMelo Ball, even if he's coming off the bench. So if he's able to put the skill to the test, keep the turnovers down, which was one of my biggest concerns with him, if he's able to do that, then he could be a real asset for the Hornets. He could be their starting point guard one day. So I think I've learned that I was wrong about LaMelo Ball, and I'm going to give him a chance.
Absolutely, man. And we're keeping the theme, Pat. What I've learned this week, man, boy, I was wrong about Peyton Pritchard. And as a Celtics fan, I'm watching the draft and I'm getting into it. And I love the Neesmith pick at 14. I'm like, let's go. We got a shooter. And we take Peyton Pritchard at 19 out of Oregon. See this little 6-foot point guard running around doing some things. And I'm like, man, we got Kemba. We got Smart. We got Tremont Waters. We got Carson Edwards. We signed Jeff Teague. That is 5 small point guards, man. And we go and get another. And actually, Smart's not a small point guard, so I take that back, Marcus. I'm sorry. But we go and take another small point guard, man. Peyton Pritchard has been the best part about the Celtics season other than JB and JT. Pritchard should be the starting point guard. He just had 23 and 8. He's the first guy to ever have 23 and 8 off the Celtics bench. I mean, this kid is legit. He knows how to use his body. He knows how to position himself. He knows where everyone is on the court. He can run an offense. And when you get a rookie that you can plug and play at a start of a season, that is invaluable. It normally takes people half the season to get going, a full season, 2, 3. If you can bring a point guard in and he can play 20 minutes, 30 minutes a game right away, that is something special. Peyton, I'm sorry, man. P. Rabbit, I'm a big fan of yours, and I wish you nothing but the best with my Celtics.
All right, well, thank you so much for listening, guys, this week. We had a great time talking with Connor about football. We're excited for the football playoffs in the NFL. I am excited about the Ravens. Hopefully they'll do well against the Titans. We'll see. We'll be able to talk about it next week on next week's episode. Be sure to tune into that. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. We did have a lot of fun talking this week. And is there anything you want to say, Chandler?
Don't forget, you can find Right Off the Bus on any single podcast platform you want. Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Anchor. Listen, find it, leave a comment, leave a review. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.